All right, what's up guys? Josh here. So welcome to my blog. I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet, but basically the purpose of the series is I've been a lifelong losing player. I'd say like this year, I'm at $100 per hour loss. So negative 100 per hour is my big blind or like hourly rate. So we're gonna turn it around. To my left, I have Aero Poker. So he's one of the up and coming poker vloggers.
What's up guys, Aero here.
Aero Poker. And yeah, basically like long story short, I found his vlog on YouTube, just like the algorithm pushed it. And then I just had a few losing sessions. I took a break and came back. And then I was like, I need to change something. So then I DM'd him on Instagram and asked him for his coaching rates. And he was kind enough just to, give me some free lessons in exchange for content for his channel. So I basically wanted to document my journey just because I've already taken one lesson with him and I feel like there is potential for me to become a profitable player. So yeah, today's gonna just be a hand recap series with Aero, and you're gonna hear the thought process of a 2-5 pro who just grinds one of the most competitive games in Vegas, and he makes a crushing, it's an unbelievable hourly rate. And I saw the data, he's not making this up. So yeah, let's just dive right into the hands. Okay, so the first hand was basically a little bit of history. Is there was a guy to my right who was some Saudi Arabian dude. He was pretty like loose aggressive, talking all night. He's shown down some big bluffs, so I knew he was capable. This is 1-3 at the Resorts World, 400 buy-in. Effective stack size is about 700. I'm in big blind, under the gun limps, $3. And then he bets 20 from the button and opens. And I look down at pocket queens. So I 3-bet to 50. And then the limper gets out of the way and the Saudi Arabian guy calls. So the flop comes 5, 9, 10, 2 spades. I c-bet for $60 and then he calls. And then the turn comes a blank 4.
So just he calls, the other guy gets out of the way?
Yeah, so the other guy didn't tag along for the post flop.
Okay.
So I c-bet 60 into a pot of
150.
150. I'm trying to think. Or
Yeah, 50 per person.
oh yeah, 150. Yeah, sorry. The limper did call. So term comes 4, like blank 4. So I continue for 65. He raises to 225. This was a decision I was trying to figure out. I was just thinking like, okay, is he on a flush draw or is he just trying to make a move? Because he was like saying, oh, I'm gonna show you either way. He's like giving me all this like Hollywood shit. So then I actually tanked for like a good minute or so because I was just thinking in my mind, if I call the 225, then I only have like less than the pot size behind. So it's gonna all go in most likely. So I ended up calling the...
You forgot to mention at the beginning of this hand, you didn't start off with a 400 stack.
Yeah, effective was 700. Yeah, so 700. So we were kind of deep. It was almost like 200 something big blinds. Over 200. And then I tank called and the river is a king of spades. So the king gets there and then the flush also gets there.
You lose to the king, you lose to the straight, and you also lose to the flush. You lose to everything other than a random naked 10. So I wanted to point out you made multiple mistakes in this hand, starting from the very beginning, the pre-flop. You're out of position against this guy, correct? He's on the button?
Yes.
And you're in the blind?
I'm in big blind.
Whenever you're in a blind, you need to raise even higher than normal. There was already a raise to 20. From a small blind, a big blind, from a blind perspective, someone raises a 20, I'm sitting there with queens. You don't want to see a king or an ace on the flop for starters, even if they don't have it. You're going to be playing out of position for the rest of the hand.
Okay.
So you're going to be playing at a disadvantage. So if I was in position and he makes it 20, I could go 60. Because you're in position. Also, you're going to isolate people behind are facing immediately 60. Plus, he might rebump. So you don't have to make it too huge. But out of position, I would go at least 80, at least, minimum.
Okay.
By you going 50, you have you have no information. He's going to call with his entire range there for 30 more with your stack sizes. You could have a pocket pair, you could have 7-8 suited, you could have ace-5 offsuit even. You're giving him too good of a price. The thing about poker is you have to consider every hand as if, okay, if I were to run this 10 times, what's my profit margin? And if you're ever giving them an advantage, like your profit margin is negative. You have a negative profit margin. Play this 10 times, how much am I going to lose is what you're asking yourself at that price rate. So when he already made it 20, you got to go at least 80. if not 85, I'll go 80 to 85 because you're out of position.
And also because the limper's there, right?
Plus, there's a
Okay.
limper. You make it 50, yeah, he's already in
coming.
for you know whatever he's in for.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make it to, and you don't want to go multi-way with a hand that's very vulnerable. Queens is pretty vulnerable.
Okay. Okay. It's one of those things where I feel like when I had the queens, I want as many colors as possible because I'm getting greedy. I'm like, okay, premium. I want to just like milk it.
Pair in the big scheme of things. You can do that with like I mention to my viewers all the time. The only time I play a little tricky is completely disconnected, unsuited. Like you're talking like the hand I had pocket eights where I discussed the flop is Queen 8-3 rainbow. There's nothing there. The best that's there is a gut shot. That is the only thing there. That's the only time I'm gonna slow play, a monster like that. Otherwise, your hand is so big. If they make it, you're gonna pay them. And queens is not exactly a trapping hand. There's, like I said, you can have ace 3, a random ace comes on the flop, you're dead. It's not a set. It is not top set, middle set, rainbow. It is a vulnerable hand. Okay. So your second mistake is the flop. You're not heads up. You'll notice when you see me play, or sometimes on my vlog, you see me down bet. That's only in heads up situations. Oh. That's the difference. Because heads up, I want to give the guy an invite to call with his entire range. He could have just a naked backdoor straight. He could have a small pocket pair. It can be anything. And I'm inviting him in. But multi-way, slam it on that. The flop is 150 and it's super connected. You said it's 9-10. Yeah. And 2 spades. Yeah. Every straight draw combination now is out there. You're looking at 7-8. Yeah. You're looking at 9-10. Jack Queen. Yeah. Even King Queen for for a gut shot. Jack will think will have actually decent odds against you. That's 7 outs against you, which is roughly what, coming out 27% or so. Okay. That's a lot for a bet of 60 into 150. No. That you got to slam that minimum 120, minimum, if not even full. At 130 is what you want to slam.
Bigger is better for that kind of situation. It's better to overbet there.
Oh no, but I wouldn't overbet. I mean, because you never want to be like, oh yeah, I've got an overpair. Right. You want to be like, maybe I have an overpair. Maybe I just have ace high, and I'm just gonna bet strong. Right. You've got to be the same regardless of what you have. Like with my ace highs, I'm also doing that. I'm gonna slam it too. Because I'm gonna be like, you have to make your range the same, whether you're bluffing or not bluffing. It has to be an equivalent bet. Otherwise, someone like me, if you bet according to the strength of your hand, I'll rob you every time I smell the stink. You see my vlogs, it smells like last week's underwear. I'm gonna rob you. I could have complete air balls. And I'm gonna rob you.
Oh, this is my friend, by the way.
All right, how you doing?
Filming my first vlog.
Aero, nice to meet you.
What's up, David?
So you should definitely multi-way, out of position also, not in position. Slam the heck of it. Like I said, if you ever need just a one trick pony type answer to all your questions, always slam 80 to 100% whenever you have the hand. 80 to 100% of the pot. Don't go tricky, don't go 20, 30. You barely did above, that was barely above like 30, 34%, 35%. It was really low to a board that wet. So you want to slam the crap out of that one. Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, third mistake, the river. You can never call there. You're losing to everything.
I don't know why.
Whatever you think you're ahead of on the flop, you lose to the straight, the open end straight. You lose to 9-10, flop top 2. You lose to even Jack Queen makes the obvious open end. Even King Queen, the 7 outer I was telling you about. You lose to the flush. You beat 0 hands by that river.
Okay. Yeah.
So tell them what he eventually had.
Yeah, and then he showed pocket 4s, so he just absolutely drilled the turn.
Because the price you gave him is actually a bad price for his hand in particular. Right. But because you bet so small, I'm inclined to. I might even call there if the other guy folds, because I could put you on ace high with a bet that small. Yeah. It's like you risk winning an extra 160 to lose your entire stack of. 650 behind plus the pot of 150, 800. To try to win 60 more, you lost 800. You know what I mean? That math is atrocious. So.
Okay. So yeah, basically the takeaways for that hand is, number one, I got to open bigger, like especially from out of position, or 3-bet bigger from out of position.
Multiple mistakes in the hand, primarily attributed to bet sizing. Pre-flop bet 3-betting was incorrect. Flop betting was incorrect. That's 2 bet sizing. And then thirdly, you got married to your hand. You beat no hands by that river. you really don't beat anything. Even with aces, I'm folding there. I mean, that limits one hand. I can beat the random king. I still lose all the straights, all the two pairs, all the sets.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't beat. I mean, you got to think everything like, okay, if I play this hand 10 times, what percentage of the time am I going to be correct?
Okay.
That's how you do the math on can I make this call? You know, there's
Okay.
350 on the river called. What's the pot? Okay, so the pot is what you're putting in 350 to win a total of 1,400 plus the other guy's 50, 1,450. You've got to be right about what 1 in 5 times, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I don't see, like I said, I don't see any hand that you beat. So I'm seeing like big fat zero.
Yeah.
I don't see any hands that he can possibly be trying to represent that you beat. Because any hand that he's on a draw with gets there on the river.
Right. It's like the worst.
Everyone gets there on the river. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in general, like I have a tendency to like call off river bets because I think they're bluffing, but
know your audience. The thing is, not a lot of players, especially at the 1-3 level, are not willing to take, donk off 200 big blinds.
Right.
I mean, they can't even rebuy in for that. They can only rebuy in for bet 4. So, I mean, more often than not, like I said, especially at the 1-3, unless you have been playing for this person for quite a while, like the guy you saw me playing most recently, he does it. He has it repeatedly as air, or he'll call massive bets with bottom pair. That's a history. If you don't have an established history, you can't call in this instance.
Okay, yeah. Because I went from a session where I was up like 100 big blinds to just out over a buy-in, right? Because I played for 5 hours that session. So
okay, 5 hours is acceptable. It's still within the an amount that most people can still retain their sanity.
Right.
But tell me about how that session went down. Like, did you take a couple bad beats without taking a break? How did you end up getting smashed?
It was by that hand.
That was the session.
That was the first session.
Oh, okay.
First session back after my break.
Okay, that was okay.
I have a tendency to just play well for the first 2 hours, get up like I'm usually up like when I initially play, and then I always end up like losing down.
This is actually a very common mistake for amateurs, and even I did it when I was starting. It's because you are uncomfortable with the deeper stack, which is exactly the reason why you see me buying 300 big blinds. Is to take advantage of players that are not used to being a deep stack, especially in a game where you can't buy in a deep. I've seen a guy playing 2-5, and he bought in for only 500. He got it all the way up to 3,000. That's freaking 6. His standing there was 6 times his starting money.
Yeah.
He 7-bet ripped it with kings against a pro. Like, when are you ever 7? I mean, you with kings. I'm telling you, I don't even have to know. The guy has aces 100% of the time. You're not against another amateur. You're against a pro.
Right.
He's only gonna call you
with aces.
Yeah. He lost $3,000 one hand, and that's why pros buy in.
For so deep. Okay.
They sweep your amateurs, with one single hand that you built up for the entire night of 6 hours of running ridiculously hot. You'll lose in one hand.
Yeah.
Because what do you think he's gonna call you for $3,000 in a 2-5 game? What he's got? All right, I've got ace queen. Let's do this. Like, no, the pro is only ever gonna do that with aces.
Yeah.
So people like me that buy in deep is to take advantage. Even if you have aces, the problem is you can only 3-bet me so much pre-flop.
Right.
Then that's gonna give you're almost always gonna give me the right odds to call because we're so deep.
Right.
So I'm gonna set mine you, or I'm gonna play suited connectors, and you'll never put me on it.
Right.
You see, the largest hands I win from my I've only have 5 vlogs posted is I'm holding freaking suited connectors. Because people aren't expecting it. They're not expecting me to hold 5-6 for $100 dollars pre-flop. Dude, we're sitting there 2K deep. I'll call it another 100 to take the 2K. I mean, So that's the problem with being deep if you don't know how to lay down a hand. Okay. Like for me, if I have aces and it's a 3-bet pot, and it looks completely safe, like 8-7-2.
Yeah.
And I come out betting, and the guy slams a huge raise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is this guy completely whacked? I mean, maybe. If not, I'm just gonna fold aces right then and there. I'll lose $150, whatever. It's not worth it for me to put in my money with, like, I'm hoping he's doing this with jacks.
Right.
I hope he's just really bad. But players like me, most of the time, I'm gonna find a better spot where you're gonna be dominated. Where like you think your king's pre is great. Yeah. It's gonna be an 80-20, 83-18 type of situation. The vast majority of the time. Because I can get away from a hand, and a lot of amateurs can't. They can't fold over pairs. They like getting in with ace king pre-flop. To 5 bets. Like, dude, no. They're watching too much of this high stakes players where, like Mariano and Rampage, they're 5-6, set betting with ace king. That does not happen at the lower stakes.
Right.
You go to the lower stakes, a 5-bet, it's always aces.
Right?
It's always aces.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kings. It's almost always aces. At the lower
kings.
stakes, the crazy stuff you see on TV and you see on the internet, that is only at the high stakes.
Okay.
Because people at the high stakes, they do that constant. It's a different kind of play. 1-3, I'll give different strategies compared to 2-5, compared to 5-10. They're all different games. And also 100 big blind structure is different from 300 big blind structure. A lot more moves are made in the 300 big blind structure.
Right.
And a lot more pros are sit down to do that too. So
pretty much the deeper there is, the more room there is for like exploitation and taking advantage of
I
others.
played the 5-10 here at the Wynn. They changed it a year and a half ago to be a 3K cap, which mimics their 2-5. Before that, it was an uncapped game. It was the hardest 5-10 I've ever played in my life anywhere. It's harder than 10-25 that I played at other casinos. I played at 10-20 at the Commerce. I played 10-25 in San Diego. It was easy because the area is wealthy. So you're not getting, it's not jam-packed with pros. You're sitting there with dentists and doctors who are just like, they can't get a heartthrob unless they're playing a deeper game.
Right.
It's like you. So, your friend wants, hey, you want to come to my house, play 5 cent, 10 cent? You're like, I mean, I can win $2.
Right.
What is this gonna do for me? I'm just gonna jam every ace king, ace jack. I don't really care. I'm gonna lose $1. That's how these rich people feel. What is $1,000? There's nothing. They need the thrill. That doesn't mean they're good. They're just rich. They have to have a feel. The game has to mean something to them. So I play the 10-25 in San Diego. It was super soft. And then I come to play the 5-10 here at the Wynn. It was like the freaking hardest 5-10 I've ever played in my life. Because I looked around and I realized, after playing, it's the same 6 pros that sit there every day, and they start the game, and they just sit there, and they play. It's like when you play Rounder, you see the movie Rounders. Right. You see Matt Damon, and he says, "Oh, these other players, they're not necessarily pros, but they'll take out all the vacationers. These are average. They're regulars, and they're above average players. Right. Here at that 5-10, that uncapped game, they are literally just sit there waiting for whales. Right. I saw a guy come with his host, and dude lost like $1 million over the course of like barely over a week. That's what those guys were there for. He got into a hand, when he came, every one of those 5-10 players took out stacks of money and they bought up to $50,000 to $100,000 in a freaking 5-10 game. They're sitting 100K deep, and they would double up through the guy in one hand, because like one hand I saw he had pocket kings. He just like I was talking about the 2-5 guy, that 3,000, dude. Pocket kings for 100 grand, that pro will only have aces, and of course he had aces. You don't know how to lay down kings. I've laid down kings for $300 raises before. Yeah. I mean, you hear like Doug Polk saying, never lay down kings, and then you see him lay down kings towards Andrew Neiman. It's like, dude, no, he's telling you not to do it, and then he does. It's like you have to know your audience. You have to know Andrew Neiman is never going to do that with anything other than aces. So you have to know your target. I'm playing with a tight old guy. He made a small raise. I limbed with kings. He made a small raise into like a ton of players, which is a bad raise. It's an awful raise because he's not a pro. He's an amateur. So I bumped it up to like 110 or something, and he makes it 350. I don't even think about it. It's a snap fold. Any tight old guy who's gonna bump you to 300. I'm not getting the right odds. I'm 1,500 deep. It's like 250 more to call. I would have to be 3K. We would both have to be 3K deep for me to ever make that call there. I'm like, no, this is an easy fold. I'm gonna lose my $100. That's all there is to it. I fold kings, no problem. I probably folded kings, 5 or more times in my time. It's not like always. You have to know your audience. If there's some tight old guy, he's sitting there. He's not here to win money. He's just here to for socialization. Dude's got aces, and if he doesn't, what do you think he's doing that with jacks, queens? I mean. Well, you're at best chopping? No. Lose $100, find a better spot.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's one shift that like after I did the one session with you, I've kind of like, I feel like before I had the mindset I want to win every single pot, and I was like treating it like a short-term, almost like a gamble. Whereas now it's more like, okay, what's the long-term profitable play? Like, I made the nittiest fold ever, like laying down queens to a 4-bet, which I would never have done that before our coaching session. And I laid that down because I didn't know this guy, and I was like, it has to be kings or aces.
No, recap the hands. It was $12. Man, I remember these hands. You have to look in your notebook. That's that. One thing, start remembering all your notable hands.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Guy raised to 12. You re-raised to 50. He made it 175.
I was in the small blind. So middle position raised to 12. I think there's like 2 callers and 1 or 2 callers in between, and then I raised it to 50, and then he raised it to 175 4-bet, and he had around 200 to 250 behind.
Yeah, you would have to be like over 1,500 deep to make that call, which
Yeah.
you're not gonna be in a
Yeah.
1-3 almost ever.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can be like, okay, best case scenario, he's got ace king. Let's just rip it in, get
Yeah.
a 10% edge. But no, you're gonna be dominated
Yeah.
there 8 out of 10 times. He's
Yeah.
gonna have kings or aces. I mean,
Yeah.
especially at 1-3. 1-3 players, typical 1-3 players, are not doing that with anything other than aces or kings.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and then essentially what happened was I basically just I thought about it and I was like thinking through the math. I was, this makes absolutely no sense if he does have an overpair over mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm just set mining, so I laid it down. And
Like I said, you had to be
And-
1,500 deep.
and that's something that like that's something without a blink of the eye before our coaching, I would have shoved at like 10 times out of 10 on that.
Okay, so my focus when I play is not to win every session, because you can't win every session.
Yeah.
Even though you see my logs and you see, holy crap, Aero, what the freak, man? You win like more than 9 out of 10, and I really do.
Yeah.
People don't believe it. My win ratio is extremely high, but I'm not trying to win every session. I'm
Right.
trying. I don't even win every month.
Yeah.
I typically lose about 1 month a year. People don't even believe that. Like I told him I'll probably lose 1 month out of the year. He's like, what the hell, you're BSing? And I'm thinking to myself, no, it's not that I'm BSing. It's that you're nowhere near my level. I mean, people, the thing is that people, when they play poker, they think they're the best in the world. No one beats them, and they can't improve. Daniel Negreanu says, if you think you know everything, you've seen everything,
Yeah.
you are not good, because you can always get better.
Right.
And I have gotten better, because the thing is, poker shifts. That when like poker Doyle's time is different now. This is the loose aggressive is now the leading poker style, because it's deep stack poker. It's no longer 100 big blinds. 100 big blinds, you can't be loose aggressive.
Yeah.
When you are 3-betting light, you just put in freaking too much of your stack to be profitable. If you got suited connectors, you're gonna lose there a lot of the time. You're not deep enough.
Okay.
But when you 3-bet, with suited connectors and you're 300 big blinds deep,
Yeah.
you're gonna risk $50, but you can take the guy for his whole stack. 'Cause
Yeah.
he flops a set, not realize he's putting you on over there, not realize you're sitting there with 7-8 suited, you flop a straight,
Yeah,
you take it
yeah.
for his whole stack.
Right.
But so because that's a deep structure, it's different, and that's the
Okay.
loose aggressive, where they are the best.
That's the meta.
Yes, or in short-handed, which is a lot of higher stakes. It's
Yeah.
short-handed, loose aggressive
Loose
is also
aggressive.
better as well.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
sit and wait for hands when they're running you over, taking you over and over and over.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Wait, let me check.